Hi, everybody. All right, so hopefully everything will work tonight. I have to get everything set back up. They changed Facebook again, so hopefully the screen sharing will work. Oh, I think it's working. Just give me a second here. I'm setting up my second computer. Let's see. I think it's going to work. Yay. Have to get in here so I can see your comments. So when you come in, say something. You won't be able to see me. You will be able to see my screen tonight. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. So I'll bring this up so you can see it bigger. Hopefully everything's working here. Is everybody hearing me okay? There's a few people here. The software classes are always an adventure because I have to use two computers, but of course, oh, people are hearing me? Can you hear me okay? Hi, Cindy. Everybody hearing me okay? Hi, Becky. We have some new people here tonight, so everybody's hearing me all right? Just make sure that if you hear me, just say yes, and then I'll know. Or give me the little thumbs, the little blue thumbs up. Hearing fine, good. I do have an air conditioner running, so hopefully it's not too loud. It's very warm in my sewing room, so I have to run an air conditioner. So, hearing me okay, Marianne? Awesome. Got quite a few people coming in, so just we'll give everybody a few minutes. So Facebook has decided to change something else, and now they have a whole new live producer interface. So I used the old one tonight. Hopefully it still works okay, and then I'll figure out how to run the new one. I wasn't expecting that because it was the same last week, but now, or actually we had a week off, didn't we? So they've changed it in the last 2 weeks. So what's everybody been doing this evening or today? So everybody been working on something special? I've been working on the July class. I'm doing Christmas today. Hi everybody, hi Margaret. Looks like everybody's getting in okay. Yeah, I like doing Christmas in July because then I actually get Christmas things done. So I'm actually doing them in June also, but I'm working on a table runner. It's really cute. Biking and visited a friend. Yep, that's a good thing today. It is kind of warm today. Marianne's always out biking. Cool. So I wanted to try to do something. So June's going to be our patriotic month. Since 4th of July, so everything will be ready for the 4th of July. And I had done this other little design, and I'll bring it up for you. We did this in the spring, and these are really fun to make, and this little frame is so sweet because you can just, make a new little thing. It's seasonal, and then you can just change it out. And it's a real small thing you can set on a table or whatever. And we made this spring little wall hanging in March, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to take something that you've already done, so you don't have to start completely over every time. You can take something that it's already done, and then we can just change it into something else. And so I took Welcome Spring, and I then created America the Beautiful. And it's a very simple project, but I don't think people realize how easy it is just to make something out of something you've already made. You don't have to start over every single time you do this kind of stuff. And I like to start from scratch because I want people to see the steps fully each time. But I do a lot of stuff this way because, I'll make something the first time and then I save it. We always want to save with that C2S file. And that way we have our working file. That's the working file for the software. That way we always have that to go back to, so that we can use it, we can use it again. And it makes doing projects that are similar to something we've already done so much faster that you don't have to start completely from scratch all over again. So America the Beautiful. Oh, hi Denise. Hi Pat. Oh, Marilyn's here. Hi everybody. Somebody just gave me a frowny face. I hope that everybody's okay. So anyway, I wanted to make this little project out of the C2S file that we already had. If you only have a PES file, and this is one of you asked this on the group, the Inspiration Software group, that yes, you can make things out of a PES file as well, but remember that is also a it's a stitch file already. So you can go in and you can take things in and out, and then you can change them, but they don't react quite the same way as they do in a C2S file, because remember, that's the native format of this software, and that C2S file thinks differently than a stitch file does. So that's why we make a stitch file separate from that. And yes, you can just take a stitch file and work with it, but it's a little more work than it does with a C2S, because the C2S already knows what we've been doing to it, because it was our working file to begin with. So so we're going to start with the C2S. Oh, Gail said, "Oh, that's fine, Gail. I just want to make sure everybody's okay." It was a little frowny face. Okay, so when I worked with this, I put all of the design. Oh, you think it might have been you, Cindy? That's okay. I put all of the files for this exercise up on Dropbox, and remember, the Dropbox link is the very first announcement on Sessions on Software. So if you click the link there, it'll take you to the Dropbox where you can download America the Beautiful. So I gave you, let me show you what I gave you. I gave you all of these things. I didn't give you the 2 pictures, but I gave you the C2S of the actual America the Beautiful. I gave you the PES version of America the Beautiful. I gave you a PDF file of sewing America the Beautiful, it's the sewing instructions and kind of how to do it. And then I gave you my C2S file of the little United States. And that's something I digitized a very long time ago. I could have used something also in the software, and I'll show you where some of those things are. There's a lot of freebies that you can get from the software, and I could have used something there, but I had this and I liked it, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use that because it was a outline of the United States, so I thought it fit well. And then I also gave you the C2S file again of Welcome Spring, which we had done in March, and that is also in the March file, so on Dropbox. So remember the Dropbox link if you want all the stuff, so you can go back and do this yourself, so you can see how to do it. And it's always the announcement. It's the very first post on the group in like the feed. Okay, so that's where that Dropbox link is. So I'm trying to remember to tell people that, because people have constantly asked me where Dropbox is. If you're watching these on YouTube, I know I've got a couple gals here that are new from watching on YouTube, and the YouTube links to this will be directly under the video, and that's what I've been doing. If you're watching some of the videos, if you click on the description area right under the video on YouTube, it will then the Dropbox link to any information or any files that I have will be right under there where you can click and go get them. Okay, but you might have to click a little button that says see more. The description may not all be visible. You just have to see more, and then that is on YouTube. okay? So you can get it either way, either on the Facebook group or in the description on YouTube under the video. And I will put this video up on YouTube. It'll be up later tonight, so after the class. So okay, I want to keep reminding people that, because sometimes it gets confusing. So hi, Lori. Okay, so what we're going to make tonight is America the Beautiful, and we're going to start with Welcome Spring. So what I'm going to do first is, let me get the software open here. And we're going to be working with the C2S file from Welcome Spring. That file is the file that we, the working file, and it has some information in it that will make it much faster to change this, okay? If you only have a PES file, you can still do it. It just you have to do a few more things. And we'll have a class about that one of these days too, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to open a design this time. So this little screen sharing thing is always in the way, but it says create a new design at the bottom here, and then the next one over is open a design. It just happens to be under my screen sharing thing. And then I'm going to go to my desktop where that folder is, America the Beautiful. And I'm going to open up Welcome Spring, because we're going to start with that, because we've already got that completely created. And I want to open that up to start with. So here's our Welcome Spring that we made in March. This was the C2S file. And the reason I chose the C2S file is that it's going to be so much easier for me to change elements. So let's look at this real quickly over here in the sequence view. If you click on the little plus signs, it tells you what it is. So it's a run, and it's a run, and it's a run, okay? And like the next thing, complex fill, run. So like the number 4 was the stippling, and then the run is this motif stitch around the outside edge, okay? And the reason I know that this is the C2S file is it's giving me the names of some of those things. When I use a PES file, it's going to look a little different under those names, because they're stitches now instead of the types of fills and runs that we're using, okay? So like if I look under here, this little B here was a stitch file that we brought into this. So it's going to show up, as you can see here, like run satin, run satin, run satin, okay? That tells me that that was a stitch file to begin with. But I brought that in to the design, and the rest of it was my original working file, okay? So that's kind of how you can tell if something is a stitch file or if it was a, you know, an original thing that I created. So like the little flower down here in spring was another stitch file that I brought in to my design, and you can see that it says run satin, run satin, run satin. So that to me indicates to me that it was a stitch file instead of a working file, like for instance my runs here and like my my stippling, okay? So I wanted to start with my C2S because when we get ready to do this, I'll show you how simple it is just to make it into something else, okay? So I got my C2S open. The first thing I want to do is, of course, you know, the order is going to basically stay in the same order. I don't need to get rid of all of this. I'm just going to get rid of part of it. So I want the first 5 steps to remain the same. So I want my step number 1 was my placement line for my batting. And if you have the stitching instructions printed out, it explains what each step is, okay? And then the second step was the tack down line for the batting. You know, Denise, it does normally. Denise asked if a stitch file item always starts with that manual stitch. Yes, it does. Normally, I can tell by just looking underneath. If it's just one item, like the runs and the complex fill, it just says run or complex fill. But if it's been a stitch file and brought in, it usually says like run satin. You know, it'll have manual stitches in there. Those are like the tie-offs and stuff. So that's what indicates to me that that was a stitch file that I brought into my original work. Okay. So normally it does. I notice that manual stitch quite often on the stitch files. Okay. So the second outline was our tack down for the batting. Then we're going to trim the batting, and then the third one, I'm going to lay the fabric that I wanted across the front down, and then the third thing was the tack down on that. The fourth thing that I have here is my stippling or my quilting. Okay, we're going to change that. And then the fifth thing was that little decorative stitch around the outside edge. Okay, so those items I want to keep because we're going to use those items for America the Beautiful. All right, and then you want to delete steps 6 through 13. In this case, it's 6 through 13 because it's the little bee trail. So I'm going to hold my control key down so I can get all of these at the same time. And then the little bee body and his wings and his outline. And then the next part is like the flower stem, the top of the flower, the yellow part of the flower, and the words. Okay, so those are the pieces that I don't need for my new America the Beautiful. So I've got them all selected. I selected the first one, held my control key down on my keyboard, and then selected the rest of it. The other way you could do that is you could select the first one, hold the shift key down on your keyboard, and then click on the last one you want to delete. And it's kind of like a Windows thing that then it picks everything. It chooses everything in between those two things. Okay, so that's another way to do it. So I'm going to get rid of those. I want to keep the last one because remember the last thing we did with Welcome Spring was we needed to sew the back to the front. So that one we still need. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit delete, get rid of all the stuff we don't want right now. Okay. So I kind of looked at this and I thought, well, I'd like it to look different than Welcome Spring. So the first thing I wanted was I wanted to change that little outside border, that cute little decorative stitch. I want that to be different. Well, there's quite a few different fills and motif stitches and stuff that we could use. But what I decided to use was I want to change, and right now it's a motif border, and it will come up as a run. So it's this number 4, and it comes up as a run in the C2S. And as you can see then, since this is a C2S file, our working file, see how it just immediately brings up my properties box, and everything's there that I fixed for this particular design. Okay. If this was a stitch file, this would not come up the same way. All right, you can still use the stitch file and change things, but we'd have to do a few more steps to do that. So right now it says it's a motif. It was pattern number 147 that I chose for this one. But what I want this one to be is I saw these really cute little stars, and I thought that would be cute. The stars are actually a symbol. So they have different types of patterns here. And this particular pattern is a symbol. So I'm going to choose, instead of motif, I'm going to choose symbol. And then if you want to pick the pattern, you can do it from the drop down arrow. You can see this drop list here. There's a lot of them, and it's like you don't know what they look like. So what I like to do is to pick the pattern. I like to click the little 3 arrows or the 3 little dots over here, and then it opens up the pictures of them in a little thing. So I want to find the star, and I think it was under, these are kind of in alphabetical order, and these are all very, very small digitized designs. So that's really cool because then they sew out well. It's very small. And I think this is under star. Let's see here. S, let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, star. It's just under star. It was this little one that had the kind of little satin stitches on it and then like a hole in the middle. Okay, so we're going to choose that one. And I'm going to click OK. And my stars are on my screen now. I'm going to go ahead and click the realistic preview just so you can see it just a little bit better. And then let me turn off the stippling just for a minute so you can see what we're working with. To do that, there's like a little eyeball next to the stippling, and I'm just going to click that, and then it'll just turn that off so you can just see the stars right now. Okay? And when I choose my stars, let's go back and choose those again. Got to get the right ones. There we go. Oops. There we go. I wanted my pattern length to be a little bit smaller. The pattern length was a little big and it made the corners kind of overlap a lot. So I just kind of guessed and typed in 8 instead and then hit enter on my keyboard, and that seemed to make the stars a little bit more in proportion to this. This is a fairly small wall hanging, so I just wanted it to be a little smaller. So that looks better. So I think we're going to go with that. And then I wanted that around the edge, but then I would like something else as quilting this time. So I'm going to go back and turn back on the stippling, which was that orange. I'm going to turn that back on, just click on the eyeball again, and it turns it back on. And that is a complex fill. So I am going to change it. I'm going to click on my complex fill, and when you do that, it comes up in the properties box as what it is. All right, so it says it's stippling, and I would like it, I'm going to change it to something different. I'm going to use a motif stitch instead. Now motifs can be runs and they can also be fills, and the motifs are the same in both places, but sometimes it's just around the edge and sometimes it'll be an actual fill. So what I found one, and I wanted this to look sort of like a crosshatch, and I found one of the motifs in here, and I clicked on the little drop down box here, and I found one. It's way towards the bottom, and it was 153. Looked kind of like a diamond to me, and I kind of like to have a crosshatch type quilting on this. And then I knew my length, that when they do these, they're fairly small. These motif stitches are quite small. So I just kind of guessed and made it, instead of 10 millimeters, I made it 20, just because I knew it was going to have to be bigger. I thought I could adjust it, and that just happened to be okay then. So I'm going to go ahead and let's pull this down again, the sequence view a little bit, so you can see the apply button. Sorry, my computer's small, so my apply button is always hidden. All right. So I set that to 20. That looked pretty good, but then it doesn't look like a diamond now. It just looks like a square. So I thought, well, that doesn't look quite right. So now I need to change. This is a fill. So remember, I think we've talked about this the last time too, that you can change the angle of the stitches in the fills. Okay, and I wanted it to look like diamonds. So to do that, I am going to go get my shape tool, which is over here underneath the select tool. And when I do that, I am going to find the line that's here. As you can see, there's a line with 2 black circles on the ends. That is how I can change the angle. So right now it's like from corner to corner, and that's making it looks like squares. So to make it look like diamonds, I need to kind of turn it like 90 degrees basically. So I'm going to run that first black circle over to the 0 line, and then I'm going to go get the other black circle and take it to the 0 line. I'm just looking at my grid lines on my work area here. So here's the 0 line right here. All right. And then I'm going to click apply and see what happens. Look, it's a hash mark. So when I started working on this, I'm like, now why is it looks like diamonds in the motifs, but it sure didn't there. So the software kind of defaults at kind of like a 90-degree angle for the fills usually, and that's why this one needed to be at 0. Okay, so I changed it. All right, so there's our diamonds for our quilting. So you can see how quickly, we're getting a design here. It looks completely different. We just redid something that we already had. Okay? So is there any questions so far? Does everybody understand what I did? Hopefully everybody's understanding what I'm doing here. We're going to add a bunch of stuff now, so. Had to have a drink of water, so give me a second. It gets really warm in here in the afternoon, so the sun's coming in my southwest window, and it's very warm in here. Okay, so now I'm ready. I've got the underlay, all of my quilting. I've got all my steps for my placement line, my tack down line for my batting, my tack down line for my fabric. Then there's the quilting, and then here's the decorative outline with the little stars. And now we're ready to bring in the stuff that we want to add to the center. So the other thing I gave you in that folder was the little United States that I digitized with the stripes on it. But so if I open that, if I go File, Open, or just click the Open button, look what happens. So I go there and I grab that little US design. Okay, so it opened it, but it opened it into a different piece, basically a different piece of paper or a different screen. So in order to bring it into the one that we're already working on, we need to use the merge function. So we're going to go up to File and Merge. That's how you bring something in to the present page that you're working on. Okay, so I'm going to go Merge, and I did File, Merge, and here's my US design, and then I'm going to click Open and bring in my United States design. And that, like I said, that's something that I digitized in this software. I gave it away as a free design many years ago. Actually, I used to do a design of the month every month, and it was probably 10 or more years ago that I gave that away, and it was done in this software. So this is also a C2S file. So if I go look at this over here, you can see complex fill, complex fill. If it was a stitch file, it would say like satin run, manual, satin run, and so on. So this was a C2S file also. This is my original C2S file that I used to create this. Okay, so here's the white. All right, so there's all those different pieces. So that's also a C2S file. And that's what I gave you in the folder. Okay. Then I've got that, and it's pretty much centered. Bring in the U.S. center, and I said center origin. This was a design of the month from I found it. It was from 2010. What are the black triangles on one of the stars? Oh, okay. So what the black triangles are from one of the stars? That's where the last stitch is. That particular. It's like the last stitch. So if I look here, my blue field and then the black outline, and then it does the white stars. That's the last stitch that you've stitched at this point, Becky. So it just tells you where the last stitch will be is there. Okay. Now the one thing I do want to do is I want to make sure that all of this is center origined. In other words, I like it to be in the center of my workspace. I also want the US design to be in the center. So I'm actually going to go Edit, and I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to right click on the registration, the rulers, and I'm going to right click on that. I'm just going to say center origin, and it's just going to center everything up. Looks like it didn't move much, so it must have been pretty close. Okay, that way I have all of my design where I want it at this point. Okay, and I use center origin quite often because it does help center everything up, and I also like to keep things in the center of my workspace just to give me some, some help to know exactly where everything is. Okay? All right, so now we've got our design in there. That's already done, so we don't have to digitize that part. And then I'm going to use, I wanted to put some lettering in. So we had lettering in before, but I want to put some new lettering in. So I'm going to go get my text tool now, and I'm going to click on the workspace over here. And I wanted to use, I thought a cursive font would be pretty here. So I used, I looked through my fonts, and I picked just the font called cursive. And whoops, there it is, cursive. And then I wanted to, I just left the default height. That was, I figured that was going to be about where I wanted it. We can adjust it a little bit more later. And so I'm going to go ahead up here in the properties box, and I'm going to type in the words America and space the, because I wanted America the and then beautiful underneath. After I'm done with that, I'm going to, oops, second here, sorry, my apply button has disappeared again. So I'm going to pull this down so you can see my apply button. There we go. I'm going to apply it. And usually this is what it does. It likes to go to the lettering. So I'm going to go up here to the zoom, and I'm going to go to fit so I can see everything. Okay. And the other thing I noticed is that when I looked at America and the, and you notice I still have my text tool, and I'm going to select it. See all the little blue and black dots and all this and that in here? The little blue like diamond arrows that are pointing there are the kerning. They kern. So in other words, they move the letters closer together, farther apart. And I thought America and the seemed kind of far apart. So I'm going to keep, I've got my text tool, and I'm going to go over and hover over that middle blue diamond that is between the T and the A, and I'm going to pull the T over so that it's closer to the A. I don't want it really close, but I just wanted it closer so that they didn't look so far apart. Okay? If you do things with the other ones, like, the black ones, they literally grab a letter and take it out of there. That's what the black ones do. The green ones here would, skew this up, this down, make them domed. Okay? I just play with this stuff until I figure out what all it does. And then the blue ones are the kerning. So like if I wanted my A a lot further away from most of my letters, I could just move those apart. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with those little buttons. And but I just wanted that T a little closer to the A to make it look a little bit more in proportion. Okay, so select tool, center above. Okay, so now when I go to move letters, I have a hard time. I often, with the little black thing, usually what I do is I'll go up here and I'll just grab and pull, and then I have a letter instead of the whole thing. So what I like to do is I like to go up and get the select tool, so I just have the letters selected together. Then I don't pull something out of alignment, which is normal for me. So I'm just going to pull this over, and let's see here. I think it looks pretty good. Might be just a little bit wide, so I am going to just squish it in just a little bit. I'm just grabbing the corners there, the center, or like the center box on the end, just to give it a little bit better. That looks better. And then I'm going to make sure that it is also centered on the 0 line, because remember we did center origin. So whoops, second here, sorry. If I take my America the Beautiful and move it to the 0 line there, oops, can't get anything to move tonight, there we go, and I'm going to use my control key and my arrow key just to bump it just a little bit more. That looks pretty good. All right. Yeah, I think I like that. All right. So then let's go ahead and do beautiful. We're going to do the same thing with beautiful. So let me go get my text tool again. I'm going to use the same font. I'm going to click on my workspace, go over here to the properties box and type the word beautiful. B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. Let's see if I can spell tonight. Okay. Then I'm going to click apply. I just left the default. I think the default setting is good. Again, I'm going to go grab my text tool so I don't pull one of the letters out of alignment. I'm going to go get my select tool and then go down to my text and pull it down. I have a hard time with stuff all the time. I'm always taking a letter out of my text. Okay, so now I also want to do the same thing. I'm going to center on my 0 line that I have things centered. I'm going to use my control key and my little bump arrows to move it over. I think that looks pretty good. And then I think America the needs to go up a little bit. Let's see. That better? What do you think? I think I kind of brought this in a little bit too far. I might just bring it back out a little bit. I pretty much just left the letters at the default because I figured about roughly 3/4 of an inch was going to be pretty good. It looks pretty good. And we could bring beautiful out just a little bit. Sometimes I just play with I might just pull them out a little bit. Let's pull this up just a hair. That looks pretty good. All right, what do you think? Sure I got that centered. Using my control key and my bump key. There we go. That looks pretty good. I think that my beautiful needs to go up a little bit because the F is kind of coming down into my stars. So let's pull it up a little bit. There we go. It's kind of coming down into the stars a little bit. There we go. Okay. So I think that looks pretty good. Well, I think it looks okay, but I don't really like the colors. So now we're going to do some color changing. So my quilting, I don't usually change the colors of the, like the utility stuff, that like the tack down and the placement lines. It doesn't really matter what color those are. So I'm just going to leave those alone. But I would like to have the actual quilting a certain color. Okay, I usually use the brother colors, so that's what I'm going to use tonight. I'm going to click on the thing that I want to change, which is color 4, and I want that to be white. So I'm going to make that white, and I think what I'm going to do is go down here and just change it right in the boxes at the bottom. So I'm going to go to number 4, the box number 4, left click on that. I'm going to go choose my brother thread, and whoops, where did it go? There it is, brother thread, and I'm just going to make it white, which is 001. Okay, so box number 4 is now white. You can see it changed down here. Okay, and then I would like my decorative outline to be a blue. So that was number 5, I believe. Let's check. Yeah, that was number 5, color number 5. So we're just going to go down here to the box number 5, left click on it. I'm going to choose my brother thread again, and I think I picked 405 blue. If you can't find it easily, quickly, I just go up to the search and type in 405, and it'll come right up. There it is, 405. Okay, now my stars are blue. The red stripes, let's see here. I like my stripes to be red, and that is color number 12, but I can't remember what color. I think I used a different color. Let's see. Oops. Sorry, I got that little thing in the way. It kind of gets in the way, doesn't it? So number 12 is, yeah, that's my stripes. So let's go ahead. I left clicked on that. I'm going to go and make that number 800 red. Well, here's the red. Okay. And then let's see. I've got my list here. I got to turn my page a second. And then The white stripes, which is the next thing, you know, the white's already there because we already changed one to that white. So I'm going to go back over to 4 because remember we changed that before. I'm going to select the stripes over in my sequence view, and then I'm going to go over and I'm going to right click on number 4, and that will change it then to that same color. And then the blue stars, I think, is next. Let's see, the star field is next. And we already have that blue, and that was number 5. So I'm going to go select those and go over to number 5 box and right click. And it's going to change it to that same color. Okay. And then my US outline is black. So there's my line. That was number 15 color down here. So let's go down and grab 15. I'm going to left click on that. Go back to my brother colors. Oops, sorry. And black. There we go. So click that on black. And let's see what else we got here. Oh, my stars are also going to be the white, and that was number 4. So I'm just going to select my stars over my sequence view, and I'm going to right click on number 4. Okay, that changes it to that same color. All right, and then here's my text. Okay, and I would like my text to be, I think I put them down here. Oh yeah, I did mine in metallic, just so you know. The metallic that I use is not in the software, so I just changed it to a gold, and that was color number 2. And that would be fine. We can just use it as color number 2. I'm just going to right click, or I'm sorry, left click on the color box down here, and we're just going to change it to a gold. And that is, let's see, go to the brother, and I think it was 214 I used. So I'm just going to search that, 214. There we go, deep gold. Okay, so that also changed the color of one of our placement lines, but that does not matter because that one is not one that specifically needs to be a certain color. I just like to have the colors in front of me when I look at it for the most part so that I don't mess up when I'm changing my colors. Okay? All right, oops. Second, I keep getting texts and stuff. Okay. Okay, so I have all of the colors changed. So now we did change some of those colors, and we also, just a second here, I'm going to move this over a little bit so it's a little more centered for you. Okay, so we did change the colors, but there's an awful lot of color boxes down here. So sometimes it's kind of distracting to me to see all those colors. Can you make this brand stay the same? Oh, Cindy, yes. Can you not make the brand stay the same without having to change every time? Yes, you can. Cindy, you can set up a default setting. I'll show you that here in a second. Let me do this, and then I'll show you how to do that, okay? These letters here are all the boxes down here. Get a little distracting to me if I see all those colors, and they're actually not, remember, all in the design, are they? Because we kind of change things all to a few colors. So to get rid of the colors you're not using, you just go down here at the bottom to the negative sign, and it says remove extra, and you just click on that, and it gets rid of all the boxes that you're not using. So now we have this odd blue, which is going to be one of our placement lines, and then the gold. Then there's this green, which was one of the placement lines. Then here's our white that we used, like for the, for the background and all that. And then the blue that we used for the star field and stars, the red and the black. Okay, so now we don't have all those extra colors in there that we don't need. Okay, so to answer Cindy's question about choosing every time, yes, you can. You can go up to the tools section, and you can go down to general options. And you can go to the first page, the default style, and then the default palette. So yes, you can set up your software so that it will always come up in whatever color you want. Now, the one thing that will make it, depending on how you like it, when the software comes out of the box, it always defaults as auto match thread colors on loading the stitch designs. and you click on this square right here. Okay, I don't like the software to do that because I often want to change my colors to whatever I want to use. So I deselect that once I get my software installed. Then I select the software colors that I want. So the reason then that when I brought in that America the Beautiful, I brought in the US design that I did. The reason it didn't auto match it then to my brother colors was because I had that box deselected. I may not have wanted to use brother colors. I may have wanted to use Madeira colors this time. So I don't usually auto match just because I don't always want what I've selected as my default is what I'm saying, I guess. So leave that auto match checked, and then if you have your default, then whatever comes into the design will then have those color numbers. Okay, so the reason I changed mine is that my US outline was originally done in Floriani colors. Okay, so the colors that were there were actually the Floriani colors. All right, so you can do it either way. I just prefer to set my own colors, whichever works for you. Okay, that was a very good question though. All right, so we removed our unused colors, but we still have something that's not quite right. So remember, I'm going to pull this up so you can see this bottom section for the sequence view a little bit better. Okay, so remember we have our placement line for the batting. The batting tack down line was number 2. Then we have the fabric tack down line. Then we had the stippling. In this case, it's the crosshatch. And then we have the decorative outline. And then we have, we have the backing. So we don't want that there, do we? We want to be able to sew the US outline and America the Beautiful first. So now we have to kind of rearrange where things are. So that this number, that last outline was right underneath the stars, because that's where it ended, because we deleted a bunch of stuff in the middle. So we're going to take that down to the bottom, and I want this to be last. So I'm just going to pull it down and put it last. Okay, didn't quite get it there, so we need to go down to the very bottom. Come on. I'm going to drop it on the last text. Now, if you notice, though, that it actually ended up being the same color as the text. Remember how we made that the same color as the text? So I need it to stop. I need the machine to stop in there. So whoops, I just happened to get it the same color. So what I'm going to do is the run is the one I moved down there. I'm just going to change the color now to that. I'm going to go over here and right click on number 3 and make it that funny green again, so that it will stop. I want the letters to sew, the gold letters, and then I want the machine to stop, and then I want to be able to put my back on and then sew out that last line. Okay, so that's, I didn't realize they were going to end up being the same color when I did this, and I thought, oh, we'll just have to change it again. So I just changed that last outline from the gold to the green so that the machine would stop in between. It doesn't matter what color that is, it's just the outline of the backing. So the tack down line for the backing, okay? And we'll put our ribbons on too. All right, so then I think we're done. I think we've got it all set up the way we wanted it. All of the parts are there. We didn't have to do all of the parts from the very beginning and set everything back up again because it was mostly there. We just added to it. So now I am going to go ahead and on this one I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm just going to call it America the Beautiful, because remember this was originally the Welcome Spring. So I want to call America, the Beautiful, and I'm going to save it as a C2S because if I want to go back into this again, then I can go back in and I can make it something else. So I'm going to save that on my desktop, hopefully. A second here. For some reason it decided not to save, so we'll just try it again. File, save. I can get my desktop. There we go. Got my desktop. And we're going to call it America the Beautiful. Hopefully we can get it this time. There have been quite a few Windows updates lately, and things have been really strange. So I just did it again, so I don't know why, but oh well. I'm not going to save it then. We'll just forget the saving. I don't know why it's not saving tonight. I've had a couple of things weird happen today, so that's one of the things is the saving. And then you would do the same thing. You need a stitch file now. I'm going to go File, Save As, and this time I'm going to save as type instead of the C2S. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make it into a PES version 9, which is the most current version of the that they have in the software. Actually, the most current version of PES is 11, but they don't happen to have that. I'm just going to call it America the Beautiful. I don't know if this one's going to save either, but we'll see. See if this one will save. I'm trying to get to my desktop. Let's see if it'll save on there. Oh, that one did. So evidently the C2S file was mad and it didn't want to save. But I always save both of those because remember we need to go back to them sometimes and change things. So then I have my stitch file, and if I open that stitch file now, you'll see the differences in it. So like, you know, over here it just says run, 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 and then our complex fill, you know, with that was our motif stitch. Okay, so if I go File, Open, or if I just hit the little open button down here and go get that new PES file that I just made and open that up, if I go over here and look now, it says manual run. Okay, manual run, manual run. You know that's a PES file. Okay, and here's like, instead of the same complex fill, now it says manual run, 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 run. Okay, it's now converted into a stitch file. Here's the little stars. These all say satin, run, 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 satin, and so on. Okay, so then you know this is a stitch file instead. All right, so that is a simple exercise that it shows you can make stuff out of other things you already did. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Some of you have done my settee pillows. Like that's how I do my settee pillows, as I have one main body that I made that I know everything fits the pillow well and everything, and then I start with that, and then I take things out and add new things in. And it really works a lot easier for me because I don't have to redo all the math and like I'll make sure everything fits again. I already knew it did. So I always keep the C2S files because I can get so much done so much faster that way. Okay? So that is America the Beautiful. And I got it all stitched out. Let me show you the picture again here, hopefully. I think I've got it up here. Yep, here it is. So I stitched it out a couple of times, and there's one at the store, and I put one on the little frame here at home. And it was fun. I liked the little crosshatch design in there. It was different. And then when I made this design originally before, I used it in a different way, and I just took the US outline this time and put it in here. So it was just a free design. So now you guys have it, and you have this whole design if you want to use it, or you can use it in some other way. Now the other thing I wanted to show you is that if you didn't want to use the little US outline, you can always go into the designs, and there's lots of freebies. So remember, when you go to Help, you can go back to the Today screen, and here are the freebies for all the months, and then there's a bunch of previous months here. And if you see those previous months, and if you look through them, you might find like a patriotic design that you like from here, and you could have used that. I mean, there's all kinds of different, like here's a cute little star that's a little, looks like a little Uncle Sam. Okay, so there's lots of different ways you can do this. I just happened to give you one. Oops, we don't want that one up here. And let me close this one again, sorry. Let's do that, and then let's look in here. So then you could have used some of the designs, like I have tons of designs in here that are the free ones. And if I get this to pull down a little bit, here's all my free designs. I have free designs all the way back to 2009. So there's a lot of designs in here. So if you, like for instance, if you look in June or July, there may be all kinds of patriotic, look at all the different patriotic ones that are in here. Okay, so I could have used these as well, but I just wanted to give you one of mine instead. So there's a real cute one, I love the USA. So that would have been something else you could have used, okay? So go find, go download those freebies because they do have really nice designs, and like I said, I've got them back years and years because I've had the software for years and years. So I sometimes go in there and find all kinds of cool stuff. Okay, all right. So are there any other questions? That makes sense to everybody? Now, next month in July, the reason I wanted to do this now is that the class would have been on July 4th. So we are going to take that Sunday off. So we won't have a software class next month because it is the 4th of July. And I would like to spend some time with my dad that day. So we won't have class that day. But we will have, there'll be some more patriotic stuff this month. Starting next week, we're going to start working on America Land That I Love, and it's a Kimberbell bench pillow. And the first step of it, or the first class of it, is pre-recorded and has already been uploaded to Sew Along with Jan. So it is the assembly at the top, and we're going to start next week with the quilting part. Okay? So are there any questions about America the Beautiful? Did it make sense to everybody? Just a fun little project. I thought it turned out really cute. I like making these little wall hangings because I can put them in the frames and set them, and I have a little place in my sewing room. I always keep one up. So okay, all right, so hopefully everybody will come see me next week when we start working on America Land That I Love, the bench pillow, and then that'll be for the next 3 weeks, and we'll have that we're doing our patriotic stuff this month. So next month is going to be Christmas. I'm already working on Christmas, so Christmas in July, as they say. So all right, so if nobody has any questions, I will upload this to YouTube for those of you who watch me on YouTube, and I will get the links to the link to the designs and stuff on YouTube as well. And otherwise you can go to the Dropbox and you can get all the stuff to make this. Thanks, Jan. I'm glad you liked it. I really enjoy doing these. These are really fun. I just like to make something in the software, and this is a good excuse to sit down and make something. So thanks, everybody. So have a nice evening.